We're joined now by Govan Whittles, our Newzroom Afrika reporter. He's been at the Union buildings through the afternoon. He's with Vincent Magwenya now. Govan, good afternoon to you. What message from the Presidency today?
Well, a few notable statements being made by the President's spokesperson, Mr. Vincent Magwenya, who joins us now to discuss some of these. We'll start with the Ministerial Handbook. Should point out that some of the changes that were announced by the President, signed into effect in May, included raising the allowance for the purchase of cars from 700,000 Rand to 800,000 Rand, increasing the number of aids from 11 to 15, and of course free water and electricity at the ministerial homes. Mr. Magwenya in his answer pointed out that when you become a minister, you inherit 2 ministerial homes in addition to your private residence, and this kind of increases the bill, and the expectation that they would foot that bill would be unreasonable. But those changes to the Ministerial Handbook, what was called presidential perks that were enacted, have now been withdrawn. Let's talk to the presidential spokesperson about this. So what prompted these changes, since you're acknowledging that some of them were necessary because of the cost of the upkeep of these residences?
I think what's important now, Govan, is to accept that the President and the government has heard the public outcry, appreciates the kind of criticism that has been leveled at these amendments, and what we're looking forward to going forward is the review that will be conducted on these amendments, so that we have a balance between what the public expects versus what is reasonable and fair with respect to what ministers can take on as an additional burden in terms of their expenses.
Has there been any response from the ministers following the withdrawal of the changes that were made? And when you say that these changes were not made in secret, what do you mean exactly? Was there widespread consultation?
No, there were headlines that seem to suggest that the President made these amendments quietly. And I was challenging that assertion that they were not made quietly and in secret for purposes of nefarious reasons or any other thing for that matter. Be that as it may, we are where we are, where the President has ordered the withdrawal of the notice that gave effect to the current amendments pending a review.
Let's move to another issue which you had raised, saying that the President would like any reviews of the state capture report to be filed as soon as possible by implicated ministers. You've mentioned that it can't be open-ended and they need to be filed sooner rather than later, but have any expected timelines been communicated to ministers? Or what's the President's attitude on the timelines for these reviews?
No, I think what's important is appreciating that taking a Commission's report to a review is part and parcel of the process. So there's nothing untoward with that action in itself. The individuals that are mentioned or implicated in the report can exercise the right to take the report on a review. Has that, in this particular case, impacted the formulation of the implementation plan? No. Could it be? I cannot speculate. Suffice to say, the President will present the plan to Parliament or deliver the plan to Parliament as per the deadline. Those reviews and their impact, depending on their outcome, will then be assessed as and when they are concluded. As a general principle, one will hope that they are filed expeditiously and they are concluded in time.
Finally, behind us we see the flags of the Sahara Arab Democratic Republic, and tomorrow a state visit by the President will happen here at the Union building. South Africa has taken a strong position that the territorial integrity of the Sahara Arab Democratic Republic, the Western Sahara, should be respected. Gone a step further, saying that the resources of that region should be respected. It seems like South Africa is taking the lead here, even when the number of African countries recognizing the Western Sahara's independence seems to be dropping. What is the position that you're trying to communicate here with the state visit and towards the rest of the continent?
Well, the position we're trying to communicate is the need to respect the legality, the need to respect the 1990 ceasefire agreement, but more importantly, for parties to return to the negotiating table and for that process to be led by the United Nations, supported by the United Nations Security Council, as well as the AU Peace and Security Council. So we're calling on all parties involved to recognize the need for dialogue. In the meantime, we're calling for all parties involved, including those who are exploiting the resources, not to continue the violation of international law in this regard, which protects the territories of former colonial territories as it is in this regard.
All right, that's the spokesperson for President Cyril Ramaphosa speaking to us at the Union Buildings after a lengthy briefing, the first of many he's promised, and one which would also include the President himself on an urgent basis, since he has committed to an engagement with the President on a quarterly basis, and the last quarter has already passed. So, Mr. Vincent Magwenya speaking to us, and of course we'll be here again tomorrow for that visit by the State President of the Sahara Arab Democratic Republic. For now, it's back to you, Stephen.
Govan Whittles, thank you very much indeed. Do appreciate that update live from the Union Buildings tonight.